And hello there, you beautiful people of YouTube. And how's it going? My name is Kevin Colby, and this is a very special show today. Whether you're watching live or on the replay, either way, I would love to have you pop in the comments and say, hey, how's it going? Let me know where you're watching from. That's one of the reasons I love YouTube. But my name is Kevin Colby, and today I'm going to do something a little special. And it's kind of about things I've learned on the way to 60. In fact, the thumbnail was this, basically 60 years later. One of the things I haven't really talked about is my age. And and the funny thing is, it was one of those things. I'm checking my audio one. It was one of those things where I think I got into this thing where I don't care. I really just don't care if people know how old I am. I'm 60. I've said it. But at the same time, I think I never brought it up because, quite honestly, to me, it's no big deal. Now, I realize in life there's certain ages that unlock things, kind of like a game, where based on where you're watching, I realize it's all different. I'm in the United States, and I realize that there's different countries and states and cities and provinces, but a lot of times things happen like at 13, you're a teenager, and then 16, you're probably going to be okay getting your license, things, then 18, and then 21, and then you just keep hitting these milestones. And quite honestly, I think growing up as a kid, I always wanted to be older, but at the same time, I was always fine with my age. I do remember, I couldn't wait till I got to be 18, because where I grew up is at the time you couldn't go to an R-rated movie. No, don't judge me. I didn't. I was a kid, but you couldn't go to an R-rated movie till you were 18, and then you had to show ID. I could not wait to get carded, as we called it. Turned 18, and then nobody ever asked me for my ID. It's like, really? But today, I wanted to share several things that I've learned on the way to 60 that have helped me, that I hope will help and encourage you wherever you are on your life journey. So at any point, whether, again, you're watching this live or on the replay, let me know in the comments where you are. You don't have to tell me your age. You don't have to tell me your age. But let me know, where you're watching from. And then I'd love to know if any of these things that I share resonate with you. Because as I was putting together this list for the show, I actually just kept coming up with things. Then I thought, well, what if I eventually do a book, about the 60 things I've learned in the 60 years. So that's just one of those things. But I would love to know that. But in the meantime, I want to make sure that I give a shout out proper to the sponsor of this live stream, and that is StreamYard. And it's just like it says right there on the screen. It is the absolute easiest way to live stream. It's what I use. It's my live stream platform of choice. If you've never used StreamYard, you want to check it out, there's a link down in the description, and I would invite you to check it out. You can actually use it free, but I think as you try it, you'll realize that on the paid plans, you can do more and more and more. But absolutely great platform. Check that out. And by the way, if you like the comment or the content or anything like that, you want to help support the channel and the work, buy me a coffee at Kevin Colby, and I would appreciate that. So let's jump into it. And by the way, these are in no particular order. And this is actually the title of this live stream. Do what they say you can't. I'm back. So it did go away for a second. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know that. So Rob is saying he's back. Rob Hitch checking in. Yeah, I don't know what happened, guys, but it says I'm still live. Rob can see me, so we're good to know. But so yeah, the title of this show today is "Do What They Say You Can't." Now, there's a video that's been out for several years that Casey Neistat did that I love, and I recommend to a lot of people, called "Do What You Can't." It's got a little language in it, but I love the message of it. And the message is literally that. If you want to just sum it up, but I would watch the video. Is do what you can't. And if I think I linked to it in the description, but this is my take on it, and it's do what they say you can't. And the reason I emphasized there's a lot of people in the world. I could just stop there and you'd go, well, duh, that will want to tell you what you can't do. Now, I'm not talking about things like, parents go, well, don't go play in the traffic. That might be a good one. Don't, smoke when you're 8. Yeah, that, that might be a good one. I'm not talking about life and death things. But there's a lot of folks that will be very quick to tell you the things you can't do. You can't make it as an entrepreneur. You can't earn a living on YouTube. You can't blank. And what happens a lot of times is those folks can't see your dreams. They can't see your passions. Heck, sometimes they can't even see your gifts and your talents. That's why I'm big about sharing your gifts. Let the world see your gifts. Make an impact. I do believe the best way to do that is with video. That's why I'm a video coach. But I ascribe, is that the right word? Ascribe to the, when they say, and the reason again I use that in quotes is because I think that's what comes up a lot. Well, they say whatever. My challenge to you, something I've learned, is do what they say you can't. If somebody says you can't start a podcast use your phone, do it. If they say, well, you can't, do video without having fancy gear, do it. Do it. And maybe you do it to prove them wrong, but I feel like they saying you can't is a powerful demotivator. Is that a word? To not do things. So there's the first thing. And again, these are in no particular order. When I started coming up with the list, I just started dropping down a lot of things. And so I came up with, I think there's 10 total. I came up with the ones I wanted to talk about today that I thought were closest, that we could kind of, unpack, heard that the other day, unpack a little. And I want to do more. Even maybe I publish a book. I don't know. We'll see. Another one, define your own success. Define your own success. I got to tell you, I saw this the other day in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, and somebody was saying, what does it take to be a successful YouTuber? And I don't even know who it was. And if I don't know that I would share their name, but the problem I have with that is that it's the assumption that there is a single definition for success. And I think a lot of times the world media seems to look at the folks who have more exposure, TV, online, more money, more the glitz, as, oh, those are the successful ones. And the problem is, so if you go back to this question that was asked, how do you be a successful YouTuber? And I wish I actually had my comment, but it was something to the effect that, you have to define what your own success is. You have to. Other people will tell you, you got to make this much money. You got to have this many followers. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to have these accolades. You got to have these awards. You've got to be recognized. You got to be a member of the country club. And that's how you define success. And I would say, no, not really. I mean, you have to define success for you in terms of how much you make. I mean, you may be content making minimum wage. You may be content making a lot of money. And I know we all think, hey, if I had more money, I'd be more happy. Would you? I don't know. I know the IRS wants more of it. So something I've learned again is to define your own success. Don't let the world tell you what you should decide as success. I mean, look, would I love my YouTube channel to continue to grow? Yes. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed and you find any value in anything I do on this channel, I do hope you consider subscribing and liking, and always engage me in the comments. I still answer every comment. In the scope of YouTube, my channel is small. So people could look at it and go, well, you're not very successful. Well, that's their definition, not mine. So that's another one. Yep, we got somebody else saying hello, 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 Spurplix. Good to see you. Another one, and this one is a tough one. And again, I would love to know if you have struggled with any of these or how they hit you. Is that comparison kills creativity? Comparison kills creativity. I got to tell you, if you create content on any level for any platform, even though I do think you ought to be on YouTube, it's almost inevitable that you start comparing yourself at some point. Look, I mean, again, the whole point of this is 60 years later. Yeah, I'm 60, turned 60 at the beginning of this month. And in all the years I worked in television and all the years I've been around media and all the years I've been creating, there's still those moments where you want to compare what you're doing or how you've done it with somebody else. And you start going, man, I don't know. I don't know that my video is that good. I don't know that I'm that good on camera. I don't know that I'm that smart. I don't know that I have that much to offer. And then you start comparing. And then it can even get dangerous. Like, well, why am I not doing what they're doing? And there's nothing that will kill your creativity faster than the constant comparing yourself with somebody else. Now, I say that to say learning from people is huge. In fact, that probably should be one of these slides today. But I do believe you should always be learning. I mean, heck, again, guys, I'm 60 and I'm still learning. There's things I don't know. I'm learning about gear. I'm learning about just everyday life. Found out something this week that I didn't know, that lenses on cameras could have firmware based on the camera, because I had a lens that all of a sudden wouldn't manual focus anymore. Did a little research on it, found out that's a thing. I learned something. But what I'm talking about is when you absolutely get so wrapped up in the comparison that it just kills your creativity. And it will do that. It will do that. So this is something that I think came to me when I was the creative director at a Fox television station, is that initiative and hard work can be better than experience. Now, look, I realize in life, a lot of things you have to have experience with. Like, my daughter and I were having breakfast this morning, and she was asking me who taught me to drive. And the reality of it is, I don't really remember. I don't remember my dad taking me out driving. I remember driving a little, sitting in the seat by him when I was a kid, which is extremely not the thing to do. I remember kind of doing a little driving on the back roads with one of my favorite uncles growing up, but I don't remember. And by the time I had driver's ed in high school, it was the thing you had to take just to get a reduction in your insurance. So I know there's some things you need experience. Like, look, if I'm going into surgery, I'd rather have a doctor who's got a little experience there. But what I noticed is, especially in the work world, is when I would have like a position. Again, I was a creative director for many, many years for a television station, and I had an amazing team, but we would have producers and we would have graphic artists and we would have some other positions. And I got to tell you, one of the best graphic artists that ever worked on my team was a guy that he went to a community college, which I'm a huge fan of. He went to a community college. He learned, I think he was there for a couple of years, and he wanted to be an artist. And he had a portfolio, and he had a little student DVD at the time. And I remember when he applied for an opening we had for a graphic artist, he was painting houses to pay the bills. I mean, not like JR, that artist. I mean, he was literally just painting houses. And I remember looking at his work, and he didn't have the most experience. In fact, I probably had more applicants that had more experience. But what I saw was an initiative and a hard work that outweighed everything else. In fact, actually, what I saw was a raw talent on his reel, that's what we used to call it, that was far better than a lot of the other work I was seeing. And I immediately thought, wow, this is somebody that I need to hire. And he turned out, in fact, we're still friends, even though I'm not with the company anymore. He turned out to be one of the best artists and animators I've ever worked with. In fact, now he's actually started a YouTube channel. He's only done a few channels where, and I forgot the name of it, where he actually goes into like the history of old animated films. But experience is great, but initiative and hard work can be huge. They just can be. So don't disregard that. It's not always about having more experience than the other person. It's like showing somebody you really want it. You really want to do the work. There's way too many people that want to get on YouTube and just do a few videos and blow up, and then they don't understand because I've done some videos and they don't and they underperform. Look, I get it. It's frustrating. You put a video out there and it just doesn't do what you think it could do or you wanted it to do, but you still put in the work. The things that are worth it are worth it. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you. Oh my word. If there was something that, I think all of these resonate with me, and hope at least one will resonate with you. And please let me know in the comments if any one of these, like, wow, that, yeah, I get that. I get that. Or I don't struggle with that. Or if you have your own. There's too many people that want to just copy somebody else. I mentioned Casey Neistat. It's okay to love Casey Neistat. In fact, I think Casey probably defined vlogging for the rest of our lives for YouTube. I'm sure people vlogged before him, but I don't know that anybody vlogged like him. And I think it's okay to learn his style. In fact, I haven't tried this, but if you go to YouTube and you search, Casey Neistat vlogging style, I'm sure there's all these videos that will come up with how he did it, the gear he used, and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with those videos. In fact, well, actually, he did one once, kind of the art of the story. He called it something else. But, excuse me, if your goal is to just copy Casey, first of all, you're denying the world you. If you're out there and you're trying to just replicate another creator or their style, I'll just watch them. I hate to break it to you, but if you want to try and emulate Casey Neistat, and again, I'm using him as an example, so much, I'll just watch Casey. You know why? Because he's good and I like his stuff. So the world doesn't need another copy. Can I just, so let me go off on a little tangent here. This is what I think is the problem with Hollywood. A lot of problems, and if you don't believe me, just look at the number of sequels or reboots. My word, I love Batman, but they're rebooting Batman again. Now, I will say the Batman trilogy that Christopher Nolan did to me is like one of the best 3 movies of all time. In fact, the Batman Begins, Dark Knight. Oh man, the Dark Knight is just amazing. But Spider-Man, my word, how many people have played Spider-Man? Now, there's a lot of economics that go into that, and studios buy and sell rights and things like that. But if you really examine Hollywood, it's just they just replicate ideas, and it's all about money. It is. Now, I do know there's folks in Hollywood that are good people that have great ideas and they're about the story, and I've seen big movies and I've seen small movies that are great. But for the most part, Hollywood is about just replicating for the money. It doesn't even matter if it's really good or not. Let's just make as much money as we can. And I think that carries over into what we do. Let me know if that speaks to you. And I should have put one day in quotes on this one, but one day, so if you can imagine air quotes, one day is an excuse to put off what you can do today. You know what I mean? One day I will start a podcast. One day I will start a YouTube channel. In fact, there's a friend of mine. I won't say his name because I think he watches my stuff some, and we're friends online. But he commented the other day. I shared some stats. Actually, it was yesterday. Facebook let me know that a year ago, this channel, I had posted one on Facebook that I had 650 subscribers, and today, I don't know, it's over 3,100. And in just a year. right? And I don't take that lightly. And my friend's comment was, "Yeah, I really need to get serious about YouTube, but I don't know what to do, and it's the time and stuff like that." One day is an excuse to put off what you can do today. One day I'll write a book. One day I'll start a YouTube channel. One day I'll learn blank. Now, here's my feeling on that is, guys, I've fallen victim to this. I've been a victim of one days quite a bit. One day I'll do this, one day I'll do this, one day. In fact, I mentioned I may even turn these into a book. Don't know. But it sounds good. Well, one day I'm going to write a book. Oh, that's great. Everybody applauds. One day I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. Oh yeah, we're cheering for you. But one day doesn't get anything done. It's really just an excuse. It would be better, as my friend Sean Cannell says, sometimes you got to just press record. It's better to start before you're ready and just go. Another friend of mine, Chris, can never say his last name. He's CEO of VidFest Podfest. Says start messy. I think that's his line. That's his book. Start ugly. That's it. So, it is just easy to put off doing until you have enough money, you have the right gear, you have. It's just an excuse. Get out there and do. Which kind of leads into this. Trying something is better than doing nothing. I don't know of how many people that I know that don't want to do something new. They're afraid. They're just afraid of trying. I remember doing a video podcast for I think we did 3 seasons with a friend of mine called Two Guys Talking About, still on YouTube and Facebook. And I remember Bill saying, "What if nobody watches?" Well, maybe nobody watches. I can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee you if we do nothing, nobody will watch. So, and we used to do this all the time in television. And I was creative director of a team at a Fox station. So a lot of times we could take more risks than a traditional news station, if you will. And we would just try things. We didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if everybody was going to do it. I mean, it's part of the journey. But trying something and seeing how it works is better than doing nothing, even starting a business. So that's something to think about. This one is a big one for me. Make family priority. It's not about just saying it. It's about doing it. So a couple of things that we used to do when the kids were little is that we would always have dinner together. Always. No matter what time, we would just always have dinner together. And no phones at the table. And when the phone rang, this was kind of cell phones were coming in. Nobody got up and answered it. Drove the kids nuts. In fact, if Ashlyn would come back in here, she'd probably say that. And it was like, no, our family is our priority. We wouldn't answer the phone. We wouldn't not skip dinner. And in fact, there were times where we didn't want our schedule so full that family became secondary. Now, however your family is laid out, I realize that, people live all over the country. Some people come from broken homes. Some people are single. But, at some point, we have family of some kind of family. And the world will make it a priority if you don't. So that's what I would suggest. And this one is one that I don't know how you feel about it. I'd love to know your take on this, but don't buy into the hustle and grind lifestyle. And I got to tell you, and I've got friends that are all about the grind. You got to hustle, you got to hustle, you got to hustle in life. But here's the problem I have with that. In fact, Desiree Martinez, my friend, quoted or said something the other day. She said, you always hear that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. She said, I disagree. And she had this really nice long post. I think it was on Instagram. And I got to say, I agree. I think it's more about the journey than the destination. But here's the thing. There's a lot of gurus and experts out there, and sadly coaches. I try not to be this kind of coach that push the hustle and the grind, hustle and the grind. If you're not hustling and grinding, if you're not hustling and grinding, you're not getting ahead. You're not being successful. One of the points to find your own success. You're not going to get everything you need. I do believe in hard work, but somewhere along the line, I think too many people have equated hard work and trying stuff with hustle and grind. I've got to do it. I got to do it. I gotta, I gotta go to my job, and then I gotta stay up till 2 a.m. editing, and then I've got to work my family in there somewhere. Guys, look, I crash at night. I got no problem um at some point in the evening just saying, I got to disconnect. I've got to disconnect. I try and limit, this is one that I didn't create for today, but I try and limit my distractions. I turn notifications. In fact, there's only 2 or 3 notifications I keep on my phone anymore. And I was doing this when I was driving into the office all the time, is that I absolutely decided to stop checking my email and looking at my phone at every red light. I turned off notifications. If somebody needed me that bad, they would call me. I think hard work and initiative, we talked about that earlier, is something, and it's real. But I also believe that the hustle and the grind is actually a killer mindset that will leave you worn out. It can, not will. It can leave you worn out. It can leave you broken. It can leave you just disenchanted with everything. And I think pacing yourself, one of the questions I see all the time, maybe you've seen it, is how many times should I upload to YouTube? Guess what? There is no magic answer. But that guy over there said you had to do it at least twice a week. There's always going to be somebody that's going to tell you something, right? But if your hustle and grind is taking away the joy and the passion and the livelihood and sucking the life out of you, that's not a good thing. It's just not a good thing. Yeah, Rob is saying always better to work smarter, not harder. Yeah, the KISS principle also helps. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Believe you are a masterpiece. Now, one of my favorite verses from the Bible, in fact, it's on a big, I think it's a tapestry. It's just more like a cloth poster, is the verse that's actually coming from Ephesians 2:10. And it talks about that you and I, or God created us as masterpiece to do things that he planned long ago. A lot of these tie together about success and the grind and the hustle and letting other people determine your worth and let other people decide what's successful for you, that you've got to do certain things or you're just never going to get it. You, my friend, were created a masterpiece. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you live. I don't care how much money you make or don't make. I don't care what you do in life. But if you don't believe that, then you let everybody else kind of define you. Believe you are a masterpiece. Those are several of the things that I wanted to share with you that I've learned over the 60 years. And I think I want to keep this going again. I don't know if I'm going to turn this into a book. I don't want to say one day I'll write a book about this, because that was one of my things. But these are the things that I believe in, that I think have formed me, have helped me. I hope they helped you somehow. I'd love to hear in the comments if any of these resonated with you, or you disagree. That's fine. Let me know. Or you have hey, what about this? That's one of the reasons I love YouTube, is this community that we can continue to grow in. But I really appreciate you. Again, if you enjoy the work, you want to help support the work, buy me a coffee at Kevin Colby. Rob saying he loves the You Are Masterpiece. Thank you, Rob. And I would say enjoy the journey. I mean, one of the reasons I tell folks, and one of the reasons I kind of got into this, share your gifts and make an impact in the world, is because I believe you have gifts. You and I may have some of the same gifts. We may have a lot of the different gifts, and even the same gifts we have, we may use differently. but it's the world is just a better place when you share you, when you do you, when you believe you are a masterpiece. I believe you're a masterpiece. And I'm pretty sure God did because he made you that way. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I would love to hear in the comments if you're watching this on replay, if anything resonated with you, you agree, disagree with any of these, or you got your own, put it down there. I always appreciate you watching. I always appreciate subscribers and liking and just all the good things that come with YouTube. And I just, more than anything, I would just want to encourage you to continue sharing your gifts, making an impact in the world, and keep creating. I'm Kevin Colby. It means the world to me that you were here today. Keep creating, be you, and I'll see you.